Welcome everyone back to Massage with Katrina. I'm Katrina and today's video is part 2 of how to alleviate pain caused by carpal tunnel syndrome. In part 2 we're going to focus on loosening the muscles in the wrist and hand. That being said, be sure you talk to a doctor about your carpal tunnel and make sure that it's okay to do self-massage on it. And otherwise, let's get started. Okay. We're going to start with the wrist. So go ahead and grab your favorite lotion or oil, put a little bit on your wrist and even up into your hand. Both sides, go ahead and just rub that in. If you get too much, just spread it out. Lotion's always good for your skin. Okay, so to start, we got to warm up those muscles in the wrist. So I want you to hook your thumb on one side, wrap those fingers around the other side, and we're going to do the wrist twist is what I like to call it. You're going to twist back and forth. Just like so. And you don't have to squeeze super hard. We're just applying enough pressure to really loosen up those muscles. And I'm kind of hooking my thumb. There's bones on either side of your wrist, and then there's kind of this space right in here, right in between. And I'm kind of hooking my pointer finger and my thumb right in that little nook right there. And then the rest of my fingers wrapping around. It's just an area I think that a lot of tension builds up often, and it's hard to stretch it out. So really try to get in there, warm that up, maybe kind of squeeze up into your hand. So what I'm doing is squeezing my palm and my fingers together up towards the hand. Doing that on both sides. I'm trying not to use my thumb a ton, more trying to use the heel of my palm as I squeeze up. But sometimes it's inevitable and you have to use your thumb a little bit. That's okay. Okay. Awesome. So once you get that warmed up, go ahead and shake it out a little bit. And then I'm going to keep my hand up so you guys can see what I'm doing. But I would recommend for you at home to put your hand down on either your leg or on a table. Maybe just pat it with a little blanket if you've got it on a hard table or a counter. But go ahead and put your hand down. And then I'm just going to hold this up for you to see. I'm going to use my thumb, and I'm kind of starting, I don't know, not quite halfway down my forearm, maybe just a little closer. I'm going to place my thumb here while I wrap my other fingers around the back side of my wrist to brace, and just really slowly apply pressure right up through the middle of my palm, or kind of it's like wrist palm, this area right through the middle here, this groove. This is probably where a lot of your tension is at with carpal tunnel, and so we're just taking some time to really, really press through there and relieve that muscle and fascia that's tightened up. And already my thumb is starting to get tired, so yours might be feeling the same way. If not, kudos to you, but I'm going to show you all a different way to do the same technique, but not using your thumb. You're going to use your elbow of your other hand. So just for the sake of being able to reach, I'm going to put my hand down, but you're going to do that same thing, the same thing you're doing with your thumb a second ago. Now you're going to do that with your elbow. And here, I'll just actually switch. And you have to move nice and slow. Don't rush this part. This is going to be probably pretty tender. And you can see on the camera my fingers are starting to curl in. Yours will do that too, and that's just fine. Go all the way up. Oh, and just really press with the point of your elbow. Don't back down. And then slide all the way up to basically the knuckles, where kind of your fingers start. Go all the way up through there. Awesome. Shake that out a bit, and then we're just going to do the same thing, but instead of going right up the middle, I'm going to rotate over just a bit, and still going up the middle, but I've just angled over a bit, because really we're trying to get this whole fascial sheath that pretty much encompasses this whole part of the wrist. We're trying to get that whole thing to loosen up. And so I'm just going to move a little bit over towards my thumb while I do this. Don't rush this. Like I said, go nice and slow. It's going to be a little bit fiery. Probably, I don't want it to be so painful to where you're like tensing up against it. You want to try to keep your hand as relaxed as possible. But it should burn a little bit. I mean, you want to make sure you're doing something. you're actually getting that muscle to loosen up. It's kind of like a good stretch. So I'm just doing that same thing again because that area was pretty fiery for me. So that's the thing about massage, is repetition and just moving really slow. Those are like the two key things for deep tissue massage. And when in doubt, just repetition and move even slower if you can. So that spot felt pretty good, so I'm going to angle a little bit more over to the side and more towards my thumb. And really we're just trying to get this fascial sheath that encompasses all the nerves and muscles that go into the hand. We're just trying to get that to loosen up a little bit. And here, angle this way. I don't know why I left my hair down. It's kind of annoying. Usually it's up. Okay, perfect. So now I've kind of worked out the fascial sheath over here pretty well, and so now I'm going to come over to the other side. So there's this midline, and I'm going to come over to the outer edge, and I'm just, same thing, working my way up through, except I'm continuing into the hand. Don't stop early. Don't stop right here. Use your elbow to go clear up to the knuckles. So anyway, that's what I'm doing now. And I'm sorry, there's not a good way to show you this, because I've found even if I do try to film me using my elbow on my hand, my whole forearm is covering the whole thing and it's kind of useless. So anyway, just remember what I showed you earlier with the thumb, but you're just going to use your elbow instead to try and save your thumbs. It's a little massage therapist trick that we use all the time. Ooh, and this might be pretty fiery, but stick with it. There we go. And for this, carpal tunnel syndrome that we're treating in particular, be sure to keep moving. Don't use what's called trigger point therapy, where you hold pressure directly on it and just hold. I've found that doesn't work quite as well just with working on the wrist in general, because there's not a ton of trigger points in there. And really, for self-massage, you're just trying to get the whole area to loosen up as a whole. And I don't know, people might disagree with that. That's totally okay. I mean, that's just kind of been my experience with working with carpal tunnel syndrome, and my own in particular. Because I've dealt with this for years, but I've found if I just stay up on it and do these kind of self-massages, or I go get a massage occasionally and have another therapist work on it, that it's completely doable. I don't really feel it most of the time, which is awesome. Like, that's great. Okay, so now I'm just kind of going back over what I've already done, back towards the thumb. And yeah, just really trying to get that fascial sheath to loosen up through the wrist. Mine is really sore on the outer edge towards my pinky. So if yours is like that too, go ahead and just focus on that. Like, kind of tune in to your muscles and see where you're more sore when you apply pressure, and just keep working that out. And I've actually switched. I'm not using the point of my elbow so much anymore. I've kind of moved to using more of my forearm, like more of a broad stroke to go through here. And that's just because it is quite painful for me on this outer edge of my wrist. And so a broader stroke just seems to, like, I'm still getting that deep tissue, but it's not such a pointy pressure that I'm flexing and tensing up. So anyway, just something I noticed I did without even thinking about it. Sometimes what'll happen too is with these strokes going into the hand, a lot of times the blood will start pooling in your hand and your fingers will feel kind of stiff and swollen. If that is the case, and even if it's not the case, it's just good to do this. Go ahead and change the way you're doing the stroke. So instead of going up into the hand, start in the hand and actually go down into the wrist. And that'll just help with blood flow and get that moving, kind of drain that blood that's pooled in your hand and drain it back into the rest of your body. Now that I've gotten most of the deep tissue part out of the way and I'm trying to just flush my hand, I'm going to move just a little bit faster. Okay, Awesome. Go ahead and shake that out. And then let's work on the back of the wrist. So same thing as before. Here, I'll show you with my thumb first. Instead of just going up into the hand, I'm going to just start going back and forth right away. So I'm starting more towards the pinky side and kind of working my way over, just back and forth, up and down. And make sure you're getting the side of your wrist too. So if it's weird to use your thumb, switch to your finger. And it's key to keep this hand completely loose. See, I just noticed I was flexing it. Try to just go completely limp if you can. And you guys won't be having your hand up like this. You'll probably have it down. And if your hands are getting sore, go ahead and use your forearm and do that instead. So just like with my thumb, I'm just going back and forth, up, clear up to the knuckles of my hand. Try not to stop short. I often have to catch myself stopping short. It's better to get all of the muscles loosened up. Okay, and who knows, for you this might be more sore than it was on the other side. It might be less sore. For me, it's less sore on this side. But either way, just stick with it. I'm massaging back and forth, doing these slow strokes. And see, I'm already shortening it. Go clear into your hand, all the way to your knuckles, and then back up to the forearm. And just for the sake of the video, I'll stop there. But if you're still feeling soreness, keep doing that. Don't stop early. And then to just finish off, let's work on those fingers a little bit. So this part, we are going to use our thumb. Just want you to squeeze and kind of work your way up through the fingers, just like that. So take each one individually and just like press into that fleshy part of your fingers, and even the back of your fingers too. This is something we just don't do a whole lot for ourselves, and our fingers do a lot for us. So just kind of squeeze up through. You might need to do it twice. Just like that. There we go. And then same thing on the thumb, just squeeze up through. Okay, and then go ahead and shake out both your hands. So like I said in the part 1 video, I would recommend doing this any chance that you get. Especially if your hands are to the point that you're getting numbness and loss of strength, do this as much as you can. If you're sitting at your desk and you have a slow moment, just take your elbow and start massaging. You honestly don't even need lotion. I mean, just the oils from your own hand can be enough. But if you have lotion handy, use it. It just helps to get a good glide on that muscle. But any chance you get, at night when you're watching your favorite show, try to work this out. So anyway, use these techniques as much as you need to. I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you next time.